This is a house that I renovated, built in 1917, totally made of cedar. The front entranceway was much different, and I designed that entranceway. In fact, they even had an architect design one that was somewhat similar, but not. But this house used to be aluminum clad over cedar shake, just like this cedar shake. That was white. This is the garage. I convinced the man not to spend $20,000 because the materials would cost $15,000 to do this bark. I was not sold on the bark that well, and there are some flaws with it. I told him he'd be much better off, and he wanted his garage to look different than what his house looked like. I scraped these things, spruced it up, got the gutters correctly, and then painted it with a couple of friends and stained out the doors myself. The doors were put in by someone else. It's in good shape. It looks good. This house was really pretty far gone. Let me show you the entranceway. Actually, the house went all the way across. The front door came out. I possibly have some old pictures of this. These railings were done by somebody else, but this whole design was my design, and I built it just about by myself. I'm the one that advised the double archway doors. They went with the window themselves. I'm the one who built the forms. I had somebody else do the stone laying. The architect was not going to let any of these beams be exposed. And he was not going to put this 2x6 tongue and groove exposure either, which was wrong. The only thing he was going to show was that particular beam this way and these beams up. He didn't even have an arch beam there, or even that design up there. The branches were done by the same man who did these handrails. He did a good job. So I had to strip all the aluminum off. I actually popped lines on the cedar shake in most places and cut them off either an inch and a half, sometimes not any at all, sometimes 3 inches, because of the way the bark went up and how they struck the cedar shake. So that was a lot of work. Plus, this house is totally made of cedar, not structural. It sagged a lot here and there. In order for me to get straight lines out here, I had to pull 5 string lines to get that straight. All these windows are new Hurd windows that I put in. I'm the one that advised them to put a bay window in here. I'm the one that orchestrated the copper. The first copper guy came out here was doing it wrong. He was trying to get the copper behind the siding. I had to get somebody else. This wall, the owner wanted the wall, so we put in the wall. We had Mexicans come out here run by an American, but the Mexicans didn't even know what a step down was. I had to show them how to dig it out, what to do, and they knew how to do the stone. They just weren't familiar with the cinder blocks or how to dig the footings and put concrete in them and everything. I showed them, and then a couple months later, the guy ended up thanking me because now he had a crew of Mexicans that could build walls, and he was making money on it and everything. I did this hand railing here, put it in for him. Other than that, not too much else out here on the front. These Hurd windows were put in afterwards. We had the old windows in there. I had to totally, not this bay window, but on these windows here and all the other windows, I had to come in here, measure these windows exactly, rip down the 2x6 to fit perfectly, and I had to cut off the bark and put these 2x4s in. And you see my seams here. There are no seams here. I did an excellent job on this. All my windows were done as perfect as I could get them. I am a perfectionist, knowing full well that I'm never going to get anything perfect. Here's this side of the house. I had helped bring the underground wiring in. I talked them into putting this bay window in here, and they were so glad they did it because they get such a good view of Grandfather Mountain over there. The first thing I did on this house was this deck. It was totally gone. I had to salvage every piece of that aluminum, take it down and put it back up. As you see, these last few pieces here are a little bit different color. It's because they were underneath the house. If I had not had those pieces, I would not have had enough to finish this deck out. So anyway, I had to tear down their total deck and redo it. I had to get these posts, go get the post, take them to somebody to have them turned. Besides that, all this copper gutter that you see here, all the way around the house, I did that, and I soldered it. He got prices for just copper gutters on the front and regular gutters on the rear. They were really high priced. I told him, well, look, I will buy the gutters and put them up. I saved him $10,000 at least, plus he got copper gutters all the way around, plus they were soldered. He will never have to work with them again. Again, all these windows are new. Here, this deck, I talked them, they had straight stairs coming down on their old deck. I talked them into putting this platform on, that they needed something extra. They did not need to have something, straight steps coming down. So this is what we did. In fact, on October the 7th, 2007, Bobby Kennedy Jr. came here when Appalachian Voices was joining River Keepers, and they brought some hawks over and everything. And Bobby Kennedy, oh, look at that, the old sun, the old glare. And Bobby Kennedy stood right here in the corner as he was holding a very rare white hawk, and luckily I was able to get some pictures of it. Very interesting pictures. But like I said, Appalachian Voices, which was originated by Harvard Ayers, that is a professor at Appalachian State, to stop the coal stripping, the tearing down of the mountains, and the casting of the rock, and stopping up creek beds and everything. He's into that, which he should be. This is the view from here in Grandfather Mountain, but let's go back to the house. All these doors and windows, there's your old windows up there. And these are your new windows down here. As you see, it is a very large deck. I had to hold up this deck here with great big old 6x6s that was from the ground all the way up, while I redid that with the cedar, with the green treated wood. I did all the staining. I wanted a lighter stain, they didn't, and everything, but that's the way that went. I had to take all of this fence down, redo it. As you see, we didn't have enough fence work. This fence work right here was new fence work. It has no roundness to it, it's flat. So I built the stairs here. I'm a carpenter. I know the framing square. I know how to take measurements and use the framing square without making mistakes. I redid this gazebo here, and I had to redo the cedar shake on top of there, and that was a problem. You see how small it is and how many cuts it was? It took me over two bundles more. I thought 5 bundles would do that. It took 7 or 8 bundles. A lot of cut there. Actually, I made a very small amount of money on that because I bid it and told him that I thought my bid was low and everything, but he did not compensate me. Didn't give me a bonus. He ended up having a stone man come over here and do this stone work. He gave the man $2,000 to do this and a wall down there and spruce up some other things, that far wall. $2,000. The man did it in less than 20 hours. $100 an hour. That was tough. But that's what your contractors are doing nowadays. They are wanting the electric men over here to change chandeliers, $80 an hour per man. Sent 2 men over here. Had to convince this guy to not have them over again. Same thing with the electrician. Very expensive. The electrician that we used to have. So as you see, this is the house that I renovated. As you see here again, I had to measure these windows, make them work on the inside. You can see the inside of the house, what I've done in there. There's a lot, but the homeowner's there today, so although I have another video, it's a little long. I wanted this to be short and sweet. As you see, we have nice, tight areas. You see my 2x6 goes up against the wood. Actually, I would have picked the green color the same as the one that they didn't want it. I had to hone these 2x6s down, put them on a table saw, get them right, put them in. And I think you can see that my cracks in these are even and as tight as they were going to get. I had a particularly hard time getting flashing for this. I had to buy the flashing at Lowe's and go to somebody and talk them into letting me bend these on their machine and everything. A lot of flashing. A lot of flashing. Again, I almost had to pull string line on everything. Well, I think I did pull string line on everything. As you see here, that this is the way that flat roof is. It's not totally flat. It goes down at an angle. I had to just pull string lines everywhere because of the unevenness of this house. So, you know, unless I show you the inside of all the inside I've done, you know, which is considerable, painting the kitchen cabinets, doing the flow on them, taking up carpet, cleaning up the floors, putting the inside trim back on these windows, fixing them up expertly and doing them right, and just all kinds of other things in the house. Let me show you something here. That triple door up there, that was a bear, because I had to put a large header on it. I had to make sure that the header stretched past the lower window there. As you see, I had to make sure my 2x4s came down past that lower window, and I had to put a big metal plate up there. It was a bear to put up. I engineered the flat roof underneath that deck to make sure there was no water problems or anything. The original deck leaked so much that when I got to this house, I was even worried about getting out on that deck and tearing it down. I could fall through. I did have help on that window right there from the herd maintenance man himself, and for that window over there, they were so large that I could not lift them up myself. They delivered them, and him and I put them in less than 2 hours. Like I said, I've had very little help on this house. I have hung chandeliers, put in electric, run electric wire, grouted, even put tile down, painted a lot of this on the inside. I stained out all this. Let's see what else. I put up handrails on the inside. I've totally cleaned all their wainscoting, polyed it. I totally redid the beamwork in the living area, and the joists were so sagged in the living area that when I put the beams up, I had to lower them on the side walls by 1.5 inches to compensate for the 2 to 3 inch sag in the middle of the roof and everything. I wish I could do the inside of the house to show you my artwork there. Like I said, the homeowner is in there. And this is the holidays, a lot of people won't come up here. If the homeowner leaves, I will go in and get a view of that. I have had to refinish the outside here twice now because of the sun and the north wind. It just got refinished this last year. It looks good. I stained those doors and polyed them. Like I said, I've done just about everything on this house. I had 2 friends come up, paint contractors come up here, and we painted this house ourselves. That was over 7 years ago. We just brushed up on some of this fascia board just this year. It needed it. We could have gone for more expensive paint, a little bit more duration to it, but the homeowners didn't want to do that. So I do what the homeowner wants. I give my suggestions. They either agree or they don't. And when they make a decision, I stick with it. I barely was able to get that window in at the roof line and everything. As you see, I barely was able to get it in where the fascia board was concerned. Where the see how it actually goes up in there a little bit. So, I had to shape all that wood myself, make it where it worked right. Same thing with these windows. You see how I barely was able to get that window above the roof line and everything. This house wasn't the easiest, but it does go well when you know what you're doing. So I'm the caretaker of this property now. These people don't have any more work for me, hardly at all. I love the area. I live in this garage over here. I love the place where I live, the area, the gorge, the view, the estate. So I stay here and I cut the grass and I trim the bushes and I do the odds and ends and keep the house up. Keep things stained, keep things painted. Don't make that much money. I've been semi-retired for several years because I wanted to be semi-retired before I went back to work for a number of years. So, there we go. A quick, short view of this property in Blowing Rock, North Carolina, of which I did almost all the work of. Plumbing, electric, tile, painting, construction, deck work, insulation, tearing up floors, putting new floors down so we could tile them, taking up carpet, putting carpet down up the stairwells, even a little bit of wallpapering, I believe. Whatever needs to be done, I usually do it. I appreciate that you have been able to take the time to look at this and see the work that I do and what I have to say about it. You all have a nice day, and possibly we will be able to sit down and talk a little bit about your project. Thank you. Bye-bye. And if you've misplaced my card, my name is Michael Chittum. My phone number is 828-295-4766. My email is foxsource@charter.net. That is Fox, FOXSOURCE @charter.net. The name of my company is Renovation Plus. I do most of my work. I have contractors, electric, plumbing, and other contractors that I can get a hold of, that I can have do specialized work large amounts of work, but a lot of things I can do myself. But some things in some areas you have to have a licensed contractor for. I do have those individuals. I also have a man that does your boiler heating, that specializes in that. If there's some reason that you have water heating in your home as opposed to a pump system